Welcome back to Out of Touch with your best friends, John Alden, Dustin Shooty, and Mitchell Page. And if we are your best friends, I hate to say it, but that's probably pretty sad. Am I wrong, guys?
What an attack 20 seconds into the show.
Oh, man. You never know how I'm going to open some of these shows, and sometimes I just get straight to it like I just did, I guess, but maybe I did insult the viewers along the way.
Yeah, you did.
We all need a little smack in the ass every once in a while, though.
Imagine if somebody was like, I really like this podcast because it feels like I'm just sitting with three of my friends. And then all of a sudden, John's like, well, actually, we hate you. Get away from the table.
Yeah, we lost them today.
Well, I apologize sincerely. And I hope you'll stick around because without you, then I guess we're just three friends talking to a microphone, to a screen, and that's it. And that's probably pretty sad, too, if I'm being honest.
That's the way it'll always be, though, John, no matter what.
That is the way.
Whether we have 0 listeners or 10 million, that's all it is.
That's true.
Right.
We're always talking to a microphone, to the screen, to ourselves.
That's it.
Happy August. Happy late August. It's hot as balls outside. It's hot as everything. Last week it was beautiful, but I said this earlier today. It's Mother Nature's revenge. She was reminding us that it's still summer. We've still got a little bit less than a month until fall, but I don't think I have ever been fiending for the fall season the way that I am this year for whatever reason.
I know I got smacked in the face by this 97-degree heat.
Yeah,
I was feeling pretty good about the 77 and a little breeze that we had last week. 96, I think, today in Bloomington when I was there. All I could think about was practice. Like those kids were out there just getting roasted on the turf. It sounds terrible.
like a rotisserie chicken.
I'm telling you.
We had 98 with the heat index of 103 here in good old Louisville, Kentucky.
I'm out.
All I know is that it was hot and humid here in St. Louis. But this is what made me think of this was this week because it was so nice last week. I think Mitchell will attest to this. John's not quite south enough to you're at like the top of what we call the South. But like when I lived in Florida and Georgia, it was just hot. There was no optimism. Like it was hot and humid like it is here, but there was no hope. So there wasn't like this 75-degree day where you're like, finally fall. It didn't turn fall until it actually turned fall.
Until it was winter.
That too. Well, we got it in
That's why I can never live in the South
October.
because summer is it's already long enough where I live now. That's why I feel like I would thrive living in the upper Midwest because the long summers, man, they're just not for me.
I disagree. I'm a golfer, so I would like it. I would rather it be 100 degrees, humid, sweaty, 365 days a year than have
Georgia
to deal with
wasn't
snow.
that bad. It was like mid-October would be. It was when
like
we started getting
North
fall,
Georgia.
early October. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the prime level because Charleston. I mean that it got like 110 wet. As soon as you step outside, you're just soaking, dripping, and it's still September. You have 2 more months of that. But like Charlotte, I think that's pretty much the same latitude as North Georgia. But when I was living in Charlotte, it was just perfect weather. You get a little chilly, got to have a sweatshirt on at night, but it's still warm enough. You can go play golf during the day. That's ideal.
If I asked you to, what are both of you, hopefully you can give me a different answer. If not, I've got a list over here. What are 2 of the most common phrases people say whenever it's ridiculously hot outside?
Sticky. This sucks.
Not quite along the lines of what I'm looking for. Maybe I didn't set it up very well. Dustin, do you have something?
So the one of them that I've always heard is it's hotter than 2 rats making whoopee in a wool sock.
That's exactly what I'm looking for. Not exactly that phrasing, but that's the type of stuff I'm looking for. So this is the top 20. I'm not going to read all of them, but the top most common Southern phrases that people say whenever it's ridiculously hot outside.
Hotter than the devil's. You know what?
Yeah.
So here's the number one is it's not the heat, it's the humidity. That's the meme that everybody always says, right?
Well, that's more of a Midwest thing, though, I think.
That's definitely a Midwest thing.
I think the humidity down in Louisville, if you're talking about Louisville and Kentucky being technically the South, the humidity down here is horrendous.
The humidity in Indiana stinks too.
Yeah. We're not actually talking about the humidity. We're talking about the phrase.
Yeah, the phrase I've heard people in Indianapolis say that since I was this tall.
Right.
Here's a couple of my favorites on here. It's hotter than Dutch love. I've never heard that used before, but that's number 3 on this list.
Okay.
I've never heard that either.
Nope.
It's hotter than Georgia asphalt. Surely, Dustin, that's coming.
Yeah, I have
heard.
Yeah, I think that's in country songs too.
Yeah.
Okay. It's awful. Actually, I don't even know what that is. It's like the training grounds for Down Below. I've never heard that before, but that's creative.
That's tough.
It must be 90 in the shade. This one's going to be a scorcher. Here's another very common one. It's so hot you could fry an egg on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
It's so hot the ice cream truck melted. Speaking of that, this is speaking of this, did you know that your brain melts at 105-degree fever? I did not know that. I learned that this week.
It melts?
So like obviously most people don't get fevers of more than like 102, maybe 103 if you're dangerously ill. But apparently if your body reaches an internal temperature of 105, your brain will start melting. And that is absolutely terrifying.
I must have spent a lot of time in 105 degrees. My brain has been melting for years.
It's actually, my brain is just a pool right now.
Yeah. Everything inside my head is just swimming. Brain is just pool weather. What's another one? Give me one more. Your favorite out of all of them. The most.
So I think I might have already given my absolute favorite, but here's another one. It's a barn burner. And I know a lot of people use that with sports too. So that's kind of versatile.
Yeah, I've always
you mentioned pools. It's so hot the swimming pool is boiling. That doesn't really sound like a phrase. I feel like somebody just made that up.
Yeah, I've always heard it's hotter than the devil's
crotch.
Yes,
we can say crotch. We just got to put the expletive mark on the episode now.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I've always heard. I can hear everybody as we're running onto the practice field saying that in the summers. I don't know why.
With that being said, I'm ready for it to be done. I'm sick of cutting my grass. Thankfully, though, and I don't know if this is thankfully because it does make the lawn look like crap whenever it's not raining a bunch. You know, it just looks really dry. But at the same time, I don't have to cut the grass. But I'm ready for the end of lawn season. That usually doesn't come until late October, early November for me at the latest. But with this heat, it's just not fun. I like the temperate temperatures whenever you're cutting the grass. And I know Dustin's over there doing are you the weed puller or are you the lawnmower guy? I can't remember which one you are.
We both pull the weeds.
Okay.
She also mows the lawn.
Okay.
Pulling weeds is full time. It
sucks. I've given up on it.
When you buy a house, what a terrible. I saw somebody talking about how the yard makes them hate their house. I never agreed with anything more than that. These weeds, I have like vines growing on my fence.
Yep. We have that too.
Pull them out of the ground, and it's a Medusa. 2 more just pop up out of nowhere. I don't know. I take the roots; they're all gone, and the next day there's 2 in its place.
And you can't burn them, which I've tried doing, and I've learned that's a stupid idea. I may have talked about that before, but burning vines is not a smart idea.
Why is that?
Because they can, depending on the type of vine. If you breathe in the fumes, you could get poisonous gases in your lungs and cause some issues and whatever.
Oh, I put them right in the fire. I did that on Saturday.
Hey, they're probably fine. I just remember I was burning some vines earlier this summer and realized the fire did not smell the way that it normally did. And so I did the old Google search and realized that there was a chance it could have been some poisonous vines and all. And maybe they weren't poisonous. They did just smell funky. But at that point, I got the watering can and I was like, I'm putting this baby out. I'm not trying to die tonight.
It sounded like for a minute, like if we were in the 1960s and you were in the mob, that would be code for like some sort of drug, smoking vines.
Yeah, I could
definitely
see that.
Burning the vines.
Burning the vines. That's what it was. Yeah. Burning the vines.
Trying to go burn the vines.
Or burning the midnight oil.
Dead body.
It took me 12 seconds to forget exactly what you said.
I do think I'm going to be in the pitch dark here in a moment. We recorded In Touch with John Alden right before this.
That's right. If you haven't seen that yet, check it out on HoosierIllustrated.com.
100%. That was
After
about
this, of course.
45 minutes ago, and it was a little bit too bright in my room. There was some glares coming through the windows, and I'm about to be in just pitch black if I don't go turn on some lights. So
I like the vibe, though. I do like all of the windows in whatever room is it. What is the room, by the way, that you always record in? It looks like just kind of a sunroom.
Yeah, I don't think the people that built it had any idea what they wanted to do with this room. To be honest, it doesn't make any sense. There's a
Is this
step
just kind of
down.
like your extra room that you throw all your crap in? I see your golf clubs in there.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's technically my office, but there's a step down to get in here, but it's all carpeted. These windows are worthless. I mean, if it's hot, it's hot. If it's cold, it's cold. They're not doing anything for insulation. And the paneling, I'm pretty sure a third grader did it. It like waves on the wall. It's not completely pressed against the wall.
Oh,
So it's been kind of interesting. But I did hang some stuff up. You can't see them because there's 400 windows, but I hung some stuff up right behind the computer. It's getting a little more into home. It's taking me some time, but a little more homey.
Dustin, I feel like I've interrupted you a couple times. I'm sorry. You can speak now if you need to.
no, that's okay. I forget what I was going to say. This is the problem with me dealing with my memory loss. I just don't remember.
Man, I
what I'm
don't want to
gonna
be
say.
35. You are 35, right?
No,
Oh shoot,
36.
35. Oh well, look. See, at least I guess lower than I thought.
guess the wrong age. Yeah.
You're older than my afternoon host, Nick Coffey. I didn't realize you were older than him. I would have never guessed that. And he
Yeah,
has 2 children.
A lot of when I worked, he has 2 children. I worked at a different company, and everybody in the chat was like in their 20s. I don't think I've ever felt older in my entire life. I remember saying, somebody asked me like, "How old are you?" And I don't care. Like, I'll tell people my age. And somebody was like, a response was all caps, "Damn," with an exclamation point. I'm like, well, it's not that old. I didn't write like 76.
It's tough. That's a tough response. That does remind me. Did I tell you guys about what happened to me last Saturday?
I don't think you
Saturdays
did,
ago.
but I'm eager to hear now.
Okay, so it is along the lines of, damn, that's old, or some of the stuff I've been dealing with. I told you guys
I've
about.
heard about the doctor story and how he said you
Yeah.
were heavy. I remember that very vividly.
Yeah, did I tell you what happened at the barber?
Yes.
Maybe. Do you remember? Okay. Well,
Yeah,
give
she
us
gave
the
me the
short
products
version of
for-
that.
Gave me the products for thinning hair.
Okay.
Tough.
Yeah, that's a tough
2
one.
for 2. What's the third? What's
Yeah,
3
had
for
the
3
third
here?
strike, and this isn't necessarily about getting old, but I was playing golf with actually Greg Heben. Do you remember that name?
I do remember. He was a safety, wasn't he?
Yeah, phenomenal athlete. I was playing golf with Greg Heben. He was not around for this. He was over by the cart, and it had stormed during our round, and then the sun came out. And when that happens, there's rainbows. It's double rainbow. It was beautiful. It was awesome. I'm on the phone with my wife, Laura, minding my business. I'm the only one by my car. I'm changing my shoes. And this man and his wife, 45-year-old, 50-year-old man. This is not a kid. This is a man. Comes walking by, sees me, looks up at the rainbow, and then says, "Oh no, you forgot your pot of gold." Which is just about the meanest thing that a stranger can tell to an undersized person.
See,
Is
it
that
took
crazy?
me about 4 seconds to figure out what he was referencing with the joke. But then
It's because I'm so little.
It's a
Yeah.
short joke. Yeah.
I always say I appreciate, like, I've been called everything in the book. You can't stump me, like the little guy jokes. They chanted Hobbit at me when I'd get the ball in high school, like all kinds of stuff. This stumped me. I had no comeback. Everyone that I've told that to is like, how do you not fight that guy? But
Yeah.
if you're in that situation and a random man comes in your life for 2 seconds, calls you small, and then leaves, you're just not prepared. You're very off guard. My response was, there has to be someone smaller. How weak is that response? It's so weak. It was tough. It was stunning. I had to hang up the phone. I had to just collect myself, gather. It was crazy.
That makes me think, like, between, let's just say we're talking people who make fat jokes, short jokes, old jokes. What could be another contender in the final 4 of the worst jokes people could say?
I'm sure.
And I'm
there's
just
plenty.
including like racist jokes because that's
I was
like
gonna say.
automatically number 1. I'm not including
Yeah.
that.
I could think of some. I will say there's as good a chance, probably much more likely chance that he just meant, look at the rainbow, I bet there's a pot of gold, and he wasn't referencing my height at all. But the fact that he was a couple inches taller than me, looking down at me to say it, it felt very demeaning.
That guy had probably been like the short one of all of his friends. And he's like, finally, somebody else to pick on.
Little pipsqueak.
That's the insecurity in all of us. We all have something deep down that I'm sure I'll say something like that to somebody. Maybe not the short joke, because I don't really, I'm short, but I don't think about it very often.
I agree.
There's got to be something, though.
I agree.
Yeah, I think I was telling Mitchell about this, and I may have even talked about this on the show before, but I used to have longer bangs, of course, as you do before your hairline recedes. Yeah. And I used to have a haircut that my family would refer to as the barcode, just because it would just, it's exactly what it sounds like. It looks like a barcode, but I had no shame in it. But looking back on it, it did look absolutely ridiculous. But what are you going to do about it, right?
Yeah, at least it wasn't.
Yeah, that's true. I had or still do, but my glasses correct it, a lazy eye. So you can imagine what school was like on the days when my glasses were broken or I had to get new ones. Those days were not fun at all. Because I'm like
correct your lazy eye.
So
sorry to interrupt.
What's that?
Your story. Sorry, finish your story. I shouldn't interrupt.
Oh no, you're good. I was just gonna say. So I'm like Mitchell and I are both like 5'8", so I'm not tall, and I got this one eye that's like going in. I mean,
Dustin,
a miserable experience for the
eye.
3 days I had to get my glasses were either broken or had to get them replaced or whatever.
I can't. The anxiety you must have felt at all seconds of that day, whether it was happening or not, because that's not something that happens. Like, I've never had this, obviously, but that's not something that's always happening. It's not like wandering, right?
No, it just goes in.
It just gets a little tired.
Yeah, it's very.
That's,
it's like
I'd love
it's
to
like
see
me
it,
throughout
but you always
most of
have
my
glasses
life.
on.
Yeah,
it's very lazy. But I think the funniest thing about this was, so like when you're in athletics, you don't usually wear, like basketball you can, but in other sports you can't wear. But in junior high, I would not wear my glasses for the pictures. So like everybody's looking straight at the camera. Dustin's looking just off to the left.
Did you do that intentionally?
No, it's because I couldn't, like, I thought I was looking straight ahead, but because of the way my eye is, it's like I'm trying to overcorrect.
So if you took your glasses off right now, would it veer off into the distance?
I don't know. You guys tell me. I can't really
I want to see, because that kind of stuff fascinates me for whatever reason. Right now, for those who are not watching on YouTube, Dustin is staring into the camera. He's doing a magnificent job.
Feels like I'm doing an eye exam.
Of not veering off.
It's the right eye. This one.
Okay.
So
yeah.
you
That's the one I was
left.
looking at. I don't know why I assumed that was the correct one. Maybe just 50-50 chance. But yeah, maybe. I don't know. Maybe you're so focused on looking directly at us that maybe it just can't happen.
I think it takes like time, because usually like I said, my glasses would be broken or I had to get a new prescription. So it would take time. So it'd be like a couple days. But usually like towards the end of that first day, that's when it would get really bad. So that was fun for me.
That's so good.
I remember this. I don't know if this is quite the same thing, but of course, it just reminds me of it. When I had braces, I also had to have a palate expander in the back. Have either of you two had braces? Do you know what a palate expander is?
I know what it is, but I didn't have it.
So for those who don't know, it's a little. There's two little, I guess, connectors that go on your back. Is it your molars that are on your top, or are they on your bottom?
Both.
Either way, yeah. On the back teeth that you have in your mouth. And there's a little bar that goes across your actual mouth, the width of your mouth. And every couple of days, you put this little key in to turn it and tighten it. And it's supposed to correct your mouth or whatever in some way. But at the very early onset of me having this palate expander, I could not help myself. I would spit when I would talk to people. And it was one of those things where it would create so much saliva that it was disgusting. And people thought I was like doing it on purpose, because of course they aren't dealing with it. They're like, stop doing that. You're just doing this for attention. But it's just nasty. And it's like food would get stuck in it. And I don't want to get too gross, but it's not something you want to deal with when you have braces, for sure.
No. When did you have those, you said?
Middle school.
What a funny time middle school is.
Middle school sucks.
What a funny time.
6th through 8th grade. I think my mother-in-law says it best. They go in as humans and they come out as humans, but everything that happens in between, there's no telling what it could be.
Yeah, dude. I had like all my best friends shun me like Dwight Schrute for 2 months. Didn't speak to me for 2 months at school. Like,
Was
just
there a
not even.
reason?
They saw that show came out, The Office, and that episode, Dwight shuns everyone in the office, and so they were talking about it, and I said I don't watch it, and so they shunned me, and that was it. I never spoke to them again, basically.
And at the time, did you have any idea why they were shunning you?
I had no clue, and they wouldn't tell me because I was shunned. I'm still not friends with them to this day.
Hard way to get information when you're shunned.
Isn't that crazy? Just what a funny time. There was there's just so much puberty going on. Just hilarious. Everybody talking to the same girls. There's this, I fell victim big time. There's this girl that at the county basketball county basketball championship, this girl put my number and one of my teammates' numbers on each, on her face. And I'm like, what is this?
Oh man.
It's terrible.
One of the cringiest things we did in middle school along those same lines. I remember there was one night me and some friends were hanging out. We would put together, we call them hot lists, and we would literally make a number 1 to 5, and we would list the 5 hottest girls in our grade, and we would compare them with each other.
I love it. Yeah, I love it.
See, this is what's okay. I don't know if you guys did this, but this is what's funny. Like, there's the stereotype that, which to an extent is true. Like, when guys go over to each other's house, there's like a lot of WWE things that happen. Like, you just find styrofoam and you break it over each other's heads. If there's a pool, you kick drop people into the pool. It's a lot of fun. There is also a lot of that. Like, they always say that the girls talk about boys at their overnights. I can tell you how many times we had a sleepover and it was just like, well, who do you think's good looking? Like, all that's that happens all the time, boys and girls.
I just think it was in middle school. It wasn't cool yet to act like you really like someone. So it never really
it wasn't my middle school. Maybe it's a generation thing too.
We didn't do it hardly. And maybe that's because I was shunned. So I was at home by myself all the time. But
nobody told Mitchell.
Yeah, maybe all the sleepovers where all this was happening, I was busy.
Middle schoolers are just too horned up and don't know what to do about it.
Did you guys ever have somebody? This didn't happen at Guerin, but it happened at a school around here, and probably a couple schools where around March Madness time, they would seed girls in the grade.
And then we did not do that.
Week, this is so messed up. They got in huge trouble. But the plan was, I don't think they ever made it to the championship because they got really in trouble. But it's so funny to call it the championship. That's so funny. I've never called it that before. That's hilarious. But the way they would see who won was they would pick a random day throughout the week. They had 3 judges for each bracket, and the judges, whichever girl looked better, whatever that was for that day, would win that matchup and move on.
That's so sad for the loser.
I know. And the girls would they found out about it. So they would get all dressed up every day throughout for a month straight.
It was like a beauty pageant for middle school.
Yes. And it was all this was freshman or sophomore year.
Oh, so this is high school. Okay.
Yeah. You're not you're still 15. So you wear way too much makeup. So I think the teachers found out because what is going on with these girls? Why are they dressing like this? And then they had it hung up in the boys' locker room. So they got in a lot of trouble for that. But I haven't thought about that in forever. Shout out Dan, wherever you're at. Good for him.
Were either of you ever the dude who would ever just put on too much cologne? Because I was that guy. And I remember being at my friend's house. We were about to go to the school dance or whatever. And I remember my friend's dad specifically pointing. He wasn't rude, but I could hear him talking to somebody about the amount of cologne I had on or something like that.
What kind of cologne? Was it just straight Axe?
I think it was like Aeropostale cologne or something like that.
I love it.
Yeah.
I had the same bottle for forever, whatever it was. But I remember from that point forward, I was like, okay, maybe just one little spray will do. And that's how you learn, right?
Only time I fell victim to that was after gym class in middle school, and we were playing flag football or something because it was on. I didn't care how sweaty, how dirty, how gross. I was going for it. And I, for whatever reason in my head, believed that people would talk about it if I dominated in flag football in 7th grade gym.
That's how every guy reacts.
And I'm just coming into math, leaking sweat, smelling terrible. So I would just spray that Axe all over myself. And this is the grossest part. None of us would like take our clothes because you had to change into gym clothes. None of us would like go and wash them. So we're all just smelling terrible in this terrible smelling locker room, spraying Axe everywhere, balling at flag football, balling, stiff arming everybody. Didn't matter.
I'm sure I was someone who put on way too much cologne. I don't remember ever being told that I did that.
Yeah.
But I do have a funny story. I didn't play football in high school, but I had a lot of friends who did. And so where I went to high school, maybe this is how it is at most places, the locker room is like under the bleachers. Okay.
Yes.
And I believe this was during summer workouts because the tennis courts were right next to the bleachers. So our football team the senior year was really good, had a lot of seniors on that team, also a lot of pranksters. And it's so hot because you're in the middle of nowhere, Indiana. And like I said, there's not like there's air conditioning in this locker room. It's just legitimately a structure underneath the bleachers. And these bleachers are however many years old, 30 or 40. And one of my friends, they had an industrial sized fan that was kind of like blowing towards the showers. So he waited for the slowest shower taker, got out a bottle of Gold Bond, emptied it out behind the industrial fan, and it just blew all over my friend. He was caked from head to toe. And like he just got out of the shower, so it like turned into this paste.
It's brutal. It's mean.
It was hilarious.
Oh man, this is great.
That's brutal.
In my opinion, maybe the people listening don't agree with this, but I think this is one of the funniest segments we've ever done on this show.
There's just funny, like you're just disgusting and dumb. Not that I have gotten any smarter, but you're just so dumb. And you think you're invincible. I definitely thought that. I was such a little butthead, especially once I transferred to Garin. And I got the ball basically every play. I thought I was so I thought it was
everybody's watching me.
Yeah, I thought I was so sick. I was on the cover of Vipe magazine or whatever and thought I was just the man.
Vipe magazine.
Nobody cares about that.
That's like the Chad magazine of whatever era you were a part of, the early 2000s, mid 2000s.
Yes. Yeah, the Vipe was like they covered high school sports statewide, they said, but they put me on. I don't remember if I was on the cover, but I was one of the featured stories that came out. It was like printed and put in Garin all over the place. I thought I was so sick. And
Did you ever think people were
at all?
Did you ever think people looked at you and like maybe you weren't aware of it at the time, but like, or maybe you were and you just didn't give a crap. But did you ever think about, oh, these people are sick of looking at me being the sports superstar, like being this uber, I don't know, jock? Maybe you weren't. I don't know. I'm just kind of picturing what it might have been like to be an outsider looking at a superstar Mitchell Page.
I wish I had that much awareness. I was so in my own head. It was disgraceful. So disgraceful. I think it helped me eventually to where I would just stop. Like, it didn't matter who was across the line of scrimmage. I truly believed I was better than them, no matter who it was, be it some kid from West Dell, Indiana, or Jabril Peppers, who almost won the Heisman Trophy. Like, whoever it was, I truly believed I was better than them. It definitely infected the way that I thought about things for a long time, which is sad. I don't think like that anymore, I promise. But
yeah.
I think it's
reflecting, it's kind of like, God, that's embarrassing.
I think that would be hard to keep in check. And this is because this is on a minuscule scale. So like I said, I grew up in small town Indiana, and like I was on the front page of the sports page either one time or two. There was one time it was like a color photo, really good, like really big photo. We had won a tournament and I was basically the face of it. Not that I was the best player of the team, far from it, but I had that ego because then like the next day or like that tournament was on a Saturday, pictures on the paper on a Sunday, and then on Monday there was like I don't know, 5 or 6 girls from the younger ages that came up and like, "Can I have your autograph?" And let me tell you, I could barely fit my head through the walls of Lewis Cass High School that afternoon.
100%.
So I can't imagine if I was like actually good at sports, how I would have handled. I would have been such a douche.
Dude, for whatever reason, I mean, thank God this happened after I left. For whatever reason, the camera was just always pointing at me. And that's such a bad thing. Like, I don't mean that as bad as it sounds, but it just
You're like the Troy Bolton of Guerin Catholic.
We won the state championship. I was the 6th man. We had 2 guys play Division I basketball. We had basically the face of the school at the time, Riley Rapp. Like he had all of these like very powerful messages about the team. Like no matter what happens, we're here because God called us to be here, all this stuff. But after we won the state championship in basketball, they passed me the trophy, and I'm the one that lifted this thing on like the little walkway. And for 8 years, they had this huge mural of me holding the trophy in the gym. It was 15 feet tall and 30 feet wide. It is a huge picture for no reason. I can't imagine what my head would have been like if it was pretty big when I came back and saw it for the first time, even though I was still walking on in Indiana and hadn't played a snap. You walk in there and you're like, oh my gosh, this is unbelievable. I can't believe this is a real thing. Thank God it's gone now. They don't have it up anymore, but it was preposterous. I may have to find a picture and send it to you guys.
I would love to see it. I was never a good enough athlete to do either of the things you just mentioned, or even come remotely close to it. But one thing I was always jealous of, our basketball teams were really good. They never won state title or anything, but they were always really competitive. And one of my friends, he wasn't a close friend or anything, but somebody that I would talk to here and there. I remember seeing him talking at a press conference during, I guess, their playoff run. And I remember thinking, man, that is the coolest thing. This guy's going to play D1 basketball, I believe. So he committed to Louisville, I think, as a walk-on, ended up playing at a smaller school with a scholarship during his college career. But I remember seeing him talking to whoever it was with the media for their playoffs and just being so jealous that I wasn't a good enough athlete to be able to be in that position. So for me, it was the opposite. I always wanted to be that guy, but never got the chance to be. But if I was, I'd be just like Mitchell, and I'd just be the biggest, not a-hole. He wasn't a big a-hole.
Yeah, sure. I didn't say I was an a-hole, but
be the biggest, have the biggest head around, I guess is what I'm getting.
I definitely had that. I was way too, thought I was a little bigger than I actually was. It's the only time in my life that I felt tall.
Let's
I gotta find a picture of this. It is so crazy.
Oh yeah, I'd love to show it on the screen if you can find it. That'd be great. So if you do see it, if you do find it, send it to the email. You can send their text as well if you want, but send it to the email so I can pull it up.
It's just such an obscure thing. Like I'm trying to find it in pictures of basketball.
I think it's on if I Google imaged like Guerin Catholic State Championship for basketball, you think it would show up?
I mean the picture of it may not, but the picture that they put up there definitely did.
Guerin Catholic, and obviously we love it whenever we do.
Yeah, this is great radio. Planning. Great radio, but
Guerin Catholic State Basketball Championship, Google Images. Let's see what we got here. Here we go. This is I don't think this is. I don't see. Have they won more than one state championship?
Yeah, so they won in 2015 as well. You have to do 2012.
All right, 2012.
12 years ago, dude. That's crazy.
Let's see here. Oh, I do. So you're I don't know if this is the same photo, but this is somebody. You're kneeling down in this, and you look like the smallest guy on the team in this photo.
All right.
You're not helping matters, John.
Is that not the same one?
No, this one I'm standing up holding it. I actually don't see it, and as I'm scrolling here, which is good. I don't want that picture to be out.
You think it's still somewhere? It has to be still in the school, right?
It's somewhere. It's somewhere.
well,
I'll find it. I don't want to
Yeah, we'll
spend the
put
whole
that to
time looking at
bed.
it.
It would have been funny if
yeah,
we found it, though.
yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and hit the hotline real quick. 502-830-9195. It's been a while since we hit it, but we did get a call that I want to play. And I don't know if you can hear my dog Lily barking in the background, but she decided now was a good time to do so. I don't think it's super invasive. I've learned that from. Is it invasive? I just want to be clear because I'm just going to deal with it if it's not invasive.
I can't.
I did not hear it at all.
Okay, good. That means it's only allowed to me. So let's go and let this call roll.
Hey guys, this is Justin, John's brother. Couple things. First was y'all were talking about Nicolas Cage movies last week. I was just curious if any of you all saw the new one, Long Legs. Very good. Would recommend it. And then also, you could do like a ranking of top 3 or just the scariest scary movie killers / villains. Thanks, guys. Love listening.
Shout out to the little bro. Thanks for the call. And by the way, Mitchell, I think I've told you this before. He wants to take you down in Rocket League.
Come on. I've actually played that 2 nights in a row, and I am getting torched. Just taken to the sword. It's so bad. So I may need some pointers as opposed to actually playing them one-on-one.
So you mentioned the movie Long Legs. I haven't seen it.
I've never even heard of it.
No, I haven't either.
So it looks like I do see that he's in it. And this came out a month ago. So this really is brand new. Right. I would love to react to the trailer, but I know we'll get flagged for it. So I know I can't do that, unfortunately.
What is it like out in theaters or is it on a streaming service?
I feel like if it was in theaters, then all 3 of us would at least know about it, but maybe it's a streaming thing.
It's called.
Here's what I'll do. I'll watch the trailer before the next episode, and maybe I'll watch the movie. I don't know. But either way, Nicolas Cage and horror, it kind of goes back to whatever I said about The Wicker Man. And there's also a movie, this may even be the same movie, I don't remember, where he has a bee mask on, or like a mask, and they like put bees in it, and he has to get his face stung by bees. I feel like it might be the same movie as Wicker Man. But horror and Nicolas Cage, very cringy and weird and kind of fun at the same time. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is here's the premise, by the way. Set in the 90s, it follows an FBI agent tasked with tracking down an occultist serial killer responsible for murdering multiple families throughout the state of Oregon without having been physically present in the crimes. So there you go. It sounds very, I guess, interesting. I don't really know. It's hard to tell just reading a premise.
There's only one way to find out.
That's right. Watch the trailer / the movie.
And then watch the actual movie.
Yeah. Thanks for the recommendation, Juddy.
What did he want? The top horror?
So he said top 3 scary movie killer villains.
I don't know if I have a top 3. Because I haven't seen a ton. I would say probably Jigsaw's up there from Saw, the Saw movies.
Yes, that's in the Saw movies. I think I've talked about those before, how I used to love them in high school, but I feel like if I went back and watched all of them today, especially the 6th one, and that's not even
6.
There's I think 9 or 10 now.
Oh my god,
milk it, baby! I love it.
I've only seen the first 7 or 8, I think. I haven't seen the most recent ones, but number 6. And I wouldn't spoil it regardless, and I just don't want to talk too long about it. But for some reason, that movie really just hit in you feel for the characters that die, that type of thing, as opposed to some of the other ones. But I can't do gore the way that I used to. Blood and guts just don't sit well with me the way that they did when I was younger.
I agree. I think my answer, I'm going to go in a little different direction. And it's going to be recency bias for me because I'm watching the show again right now. He's not a villain in the sense that I think we're talking about someone like Jigsaw, but Thomas Shelby from Peaky Blinders. Have you seen this?
I've not, but I've
No.
wanted to see Peaky Blinders.
Oh, dude, you have to watch it. Now this doesn't even make sense. I can't just talk to you guys. It's a British guy that basically starts his own gang, and he's a true villain, but you cheer for him because of the way that he handles his business. Like, he's killing people, he's putting out hits, he's stealing, he's doing all this bad stuff. But if you watch the show, you'll understand.
Well, it reminds me of Raymond Reddington from the Blacklist.
Oh, the best. The best. You know what the problem with that show is? And I loved that show.
Did you finish it, by the way? We talked once and we were at different positions.
No, because
How far did you
Elizabeth
get?
Keene, the girl, is the most annoying character in TV history.
You don't like Elizabeth Keene?
How far did you get?
We're on season 7 and we're trying to get to the end of it. We love the show.
Oh, I stopped after season 4. She's
because
brutal.
of Elizabeth Keene.
She's brutal. She doesn't do anything. She adds nothing. She's always the damsel in distress.
But she's not, though.
Yes, she is. And then anytime that it's her chance to step up, she messes it up. She tries to act tough, but she's an idiot. I don't like her. She's done.
So calling her damsel in distress. No, this is gonna get Dustin. Do you care if I spoil like season 2 or 3 of the Blacklist?
No, I'm probably not gonna watch it, so we're good.
Yeah, she murders the Secretary of the United States or whoever's one of those high up power people. How is that damsel in distress?
Because Raymond always has to save her for her dumb mistakes. Because she's a dumb. That's exactly what she is. A dumb. Why would she do that? If she would just control herself, she's always off the rails, I think, is the problem. And yeah,
I feel like anytime there are times where Raymond does save her, but there are plenty of moments that you probably haven't even seen where she's all by herself and she has to get out of her own
She's
situation.
never by herself.
She has been, and you didn't make it as far as I have.
She's never by herself because Red is always there. And then she's got her spy husband that she freaks out. Just chill for 5 seconds and be less annoying. I had to turn it off. I couldn't watch it.
Wow. Well, there you have it. Mitchell hates the Blacklist for some reason.
I love Raymond Reddington, though. What an interesting guy.
He is. I think there's a reason that show went 10 seasons and it's him, James Spader.
Yeah. Can you imagine if he wasn't in it? Would you watch it for Elizabeth Keene? I don't think so.
It would. I mean, if you're saying that they remove James Spader and don't replace him with anybody, yeah, I'm probably not watching it. But if you have somebody playing the character of Raymond Reddington and it's somebody who can be as good as James Spader, just depends, I guess.
Let's say Elizabeth Keene has to be the focus of the show.
She is the focus of the show. She's the secondary focus of the show.
Well, that is oxymoron.
What?
Because isn't that the thing you say? Like,
yeah,
you can't have two of those things be the same at once. You can't be the focus of the show and be secondary. You just said that the show goes 10 seasons because of Raymond Reddington. Elizabeth Keene getting herself into trouble and being a dummy is what made that show go 10 seasons. Because Red has to always. Did you ever find out if it's her son or if it's his daughter?
Back and forth with that, and I think it's still where I'm at. There's so many gray areas.
Yeah, so you don't know.
At least
anything
where I'm
about
at now. Again, I'm not at the end, obviously.
Yeah, you don't know anything about her mom or anything like.
Yeah, no. So we know about her mom. The mom is in the picture, and we'll stop making this podcast.
The mom's in the picture. I thought the mom was dead.
Is that where you're at? Again, I don't know where you're at. So, like, yeah, the mom is alive.
I stopped.
Mitchell's never watching again, so.
No, I stopped when she flees to the Russian embassy.
Yeah, and that's honestly season 3 where you're at. That's most people's favorite season from what I've seen.
Yeah, it's a good season. And then she just gets absurdly annoying. And like the 2 episodes after that. She annoys me.
We'll put that to bed because I worry not that the show's over for those who watched it live. Of course, they don't care, but if anybody happens to be watching the show and is actively going through the Blacklist, I don't want to just keep accidentally spoiling certain moments.
Yeah, right. That's true.
Where do we go from here?
I don't know.
I feel like we're at a
good stop.
Oh, I've got one more thing. Mitchell, for you. I had this written down, and I want to bring it up, and then we'll wrap up today's show because we've been recording a lot tonight. But I keep getting these notifications, Mitchell. It must be that time of year. Wikipedia is trying to get me to donate again.
Oh,
It's about
this
that
is
time.
huge.
$2.50 can save their whole year.
And have you been doing it?
I haven't got the message yet, but when I do, I will.
Every time I open Wikipedia, which is often, I get that message.
I don't go on Wikipedia very often anymore. But if they ask, yeah, $2.50 direct deposit to them.
We need to see receipts because I'm starting to doubt it that you actually donate to Wikipedia.
Okay. I mean, yeah, that's. I don't have them from last year, but at least once a year I do. Yeah. I want them to keep running. They're a great service.
You don't use them enough, though.
I use them $2.50 worth.
You're paying for me, essentially.
I use it $2.50. I'm not saying $250.
Well, yeah, that's fair, I guess.
$2.50.
Could you imagine if somebody just donated $250
That's
to
too
Wikipedia?
Much. That's too much.
You're keeping the lights on so that down the road your daughter can use Wikipedia for whatever school project she may have to be working on.
I am keeping the lights on of that $1 billion website with my $2.50. I sure am.
What if Wikipedia has always just been a front for like the mob or something, and it's like that's the last thing you would ever expect it to be?
I don't know how you would run a business through it, considering it's all information, but you could definitely bake cryptic messages on random pages. So if you're setting up a spy network, Wikipedia would be a great place to do it. Not that I've considered setting up a spy network. I'm just now thinking of this, but you could bake in a message on King Louis IV's Wikipedia page in the references section. And all they need is a key. I'm thinking, you know what show I watched and what's making me think of that? We've been on a lot of shows recently, but
we have.
Dang, now I can't even. This sucks. Now I can't even remember what the heck it's called. It's it's during World War II or Cold War. Cold War. There's the Russian and the American spy. They have to team up.
I feel like we're talking about Americans and Russians. I know we were talking about the Blacklist, and I know that
I can't.
It sounds like the same. I mean, I know it's not the same show, but it sounds similar enough for my brain to go to the Blacklist.
It's not S.H.I.E.L.D.
Is it Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? That's a Marvel thing, right?
Yeah, that's a Marvel thing. Gosh.
One of the other shows that I want to get into eventually is Tracker. It has the guy from This Is Us in it. I can't think of the dude's name, but it looks pretty good.
What's This Is Us?
So This Is Us was a show. It was kind of a drama show. My wife really liked it. Where, it was these three kids who were adults, but you constantly see how their lives were before, and you kind of see where their dad, who was deceased, came from. I don't know. I may not be explaining it very well. I didn't watch a whole lot of it, but I watched enough to vaguely know the premise of it.
Okay.
I've not heard of any of these shows.
You've never heard of This Is Us?
No.
The Man from U.N.C.L.E. That's what it's called.
I've heard of The Man from U.N.C.L.E. Know nothing about it, though.
It's the guy that's Superman. I'll never remember his name ever in my life, but he plays the American spy. It's awesome. You got to watch it. They do
Dustin
all kinds of spy stuff.
The look on Dustin's face totally reads, shut up and let's end this episode.
No,
it is
my
8 o'clock Central Time, and it's time to take a nap.
I have never heard of I've heard of the Blacklist, but I think that's the only show I've heard of that you guys have talked about.
What do you
I've
watch,
3
Dustin?
episodes. Nothing. I don't.
You don't watch anything?
Not really. Like, I watch Impractical Jokers, Friends, Big Bang Theory.
Show EJ makes fun of you
The
for.
Office, Parks and Rec.
You're like me. I used to only watch like comfort shows, and I still love going back to those.
This is my issue, and I think this is a little bit. I didn't watch enough of the Blacklist. Obviously, I've seen a few episodes, but I feel like when you get into these dramas, after you get past like season 3, it just gets to be too. Like, I watched Yellowstone, and I got to season 3, and then they just make the characters so dramatic and so over the top that I just can't stand it anymore. I'm like, this is ridiculous.
I do hate when shows overstay their welcome. And I'll say this: have you seen any of Ted Lasso?
I've seen the very first episode of Ted Lasso.
So they just announced that they were doing a 4th season or going to do a 4th season of Ted Lasso. And I feel like everybody who watched the first 3 seasons thought that it ended pretty much perfectly at the end of season 3. So why try to ruin that perfection, so to speak, by continuing on the story? Now, they did sort of leave the door open. Like, I can see where they could take it for a season 4, but the way that it ends in season 3, it made it seem like it was going to be the end of the show, if that makes sense. But
this was the problem with,
I kind of worry that it's going to ruin the legacy of the show and not be as good. So
this is what happened in Toy Story. Toy Story 3, perfect ending. Toy Story 4 sucked. Now they're coming out with Toy Story 5. Now the whole franchise.
They're doing a
is
Shrek 5. Why are they doing a Shrek 5?
I didn't even know there was a Shrek 4.
5? You see, you didn't know there was a Shrek 4?
I didn't. I saw the first 3, but I did not know there was a 4th.
It was called Shrek Forever After, and it was literally billed as the end of Shrek. Like, that was the last movie. But of course,
I think Hollywood is running out of ideas, is what's really happening.
They're like, let's just milk all of our old intellectual properties as long as we can. It's like we talked about it last week. There's a million Fast and the Furious movies. There's a million Transformers movies. There's a million Marvel movies, DC movies, whatever it may be. And some of them are good. I'm not saying they have to be bad movies. But when you're on the 13th sequel, and like the quality of the product is not what it was in the first 2 to 3 movies, it just seems like you're just, I mean, you're going to keep making money off of it. So, I mean, I guess it's a good business decision, but I mean, they don't care if they're making money, right?
Follow the dogs.
Mitchell, have you found what you're looking for?
No.
He's just there scouring in the interwebs.
Dude, I'm trying so hard. I can't find. I'm an idiot.
We can call it a night if you want to.
Yeah, I'm not going to find it.
Yeah. All right.
On that,
let's wrap up today's episode of Out of Touch, bringing that grand old musical tune that sometimes Mitchell doesn't like when I play him out. I'll just play myself out. But thanks for listening or watching, as always, to this episode of Out of Touch. Leave us a message, 502-830-915 if you want. Subscribe on YouTube, Out of Touch Media. Like the show if you feel so, like you want to, I should say. You don't have to. We won't hunt you down. But we can be your best friends, as we said at the beginning of the show, and I won't shun you if that is the case. But thank you for listening to this episode of Out of Touch. We'll be back again next week.